Hey, hello everybody, and this is our last construction that we need to learn in the series here. In this video, we're going to learn how to construct congruent angles. So our goal is to take an angle that's been given to us and construct another angle that's perfectly congruent to that angle. Okay, so let's get started. Step 1. Here's the given angle at vertex A. It says begin by drawing a ray with endpoint B. So that's something you could do with your straight edge. Make an endpoint, draw a ray. Step 2, place your compass on point A and draw an arc that intersects both sides of the angle. Then, without changing that radius setting, place the compass on point B and draw a long arc that resembles the arc you just made. Okay, and then label your points. We're calling this arc intersection C and intersection D, and then over here on the second angle, intersection E. Now, step 3, set the radius of the compass to the length from C to D. That's the same thing we did in our other angle construction. Okay. Place the compass on point E and draw an arc intersecting the previous arc. Label that point F. When you connect point B to point F, you will complete the congruent angles construction. When you're finished, the two angles should be exactly the same size. All right, so let's practice. We have one acute angle and one obtuse angle to practice on. All right, so we have angle P here. Step 1 is to, in some open space, draw another ray. Call this endpoint B. Then take your compass and make a setting so that it will cross over two sides of the original angle. Don't change that setting at all and bring it over to point B and make another really long arc. Okay. Now, step 3 says set the radius of the compass so that it's equal to the distance. Nice, and there we go. Without changing this setting, come over to the second angle and create an intersected arc. Let's label some pieces here. I'll call this point to follow along with the upper directions, point C and point D, point E, and point F. Finally, grab your straight edge and connect B to F. And when you're finished, you should have two perfectly congruent angles. Here, angle CPD is congruent to angle FBE. All right, let's roll through these directions one more time. One more practice here. We've got angle Q that we're going to copy. I'm going to start with a ray. Call that endpoint B. When I set up my very first arc, it just needs to be wide enough that it will intersect both sides of the angle. When you're making these long arcs, it might be a lot easier to turn the paper versus turning the compass. Okay, don't change the size of the radius on your compass and make the exact same size arc coming from point B. A really, really, really long arc. We'll call this intersection C and D, and this one E. I'm just picking these letters so that it matches up with the directions up in the top of the page here. Next, set your compass width so that it matches C to D. To be exactly the length from C to D. You can check that by making a little intersection. Looks good. Now, using that exact same size, travel over to point E and make an intersection. Let's label that point F. When you connect B to F, it should complete a congruent angle. These two obtuse angles are now congruent, so I have angle CQD is congruent to angle FBE. Whew, okay, so this video series, we've gone through 6 different constructions by hand. We've used the old-time compass and straight edge. If working by hand was difficult, you didn't like doing this by hand, the other video series that I've posted is going through the exact same constructions, but using the online tools found on PowerTest. So you might want to travel over there. Also, your practice is on PowerTest so that you can get used to the online tools. I offer directions by hand so that you kind of get this muscle memory and you get used to building things by hand. So, hope you enjoyed this lesson and happy studying.